Join me in welcoming S.W. Quinn. Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, Steve. I'm good. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, it's great to be here with you too. So your book is called Runaway Silver, The Impossible Sight of Lily Lilac. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you and what inspired the book.
Yeah, so I'm a writer and entrepreneur based in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and I know you very often ask your guests based on my following of this podcast. How do you present yourself in the world? And what's interesting to me is that how I present myself in the world is different today than any other previous day in my life, in one main sense, and that's that I'm now a published author, which feels good. It feels really good. In a lot of ways, my entire career has led up to today. I should say as well. So you and I were chatting briefly before the podcast started. Steve, you were included on a big thank you email that went out from my company this morning, about 6 o'clock on the East Coast, a little bit earlier your time. So just telling your listeners, well, you already know that today has been 16 years in the making. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal. So huge privilege, huge pleasure. Um, what inspired the book? Um, Man, that's a whole story in and of itself. Where would you like to begin?
Oh, just jump in at the beginning and kind of swim your way through it.
Swim is probably the operative word. So, like I said, well, it's been 16 years in the making, and the reason that it's been 16 years in the making is due to you know a number of reasons. I chalk it up to, if I had to boil it down, distill it down, I would say it's due to what I call false starts. Attempts to write this thing and then going back and reading what I wrote and being like, nope, that's not it. It's a very cinematic story. I can see it vividly and clear as day in my mind's eye. And so getting the prose to line up with the story as I see it has been one of the biggest challenges for me. It came to me when I was 18, as a matter of fact. I was diagnosed with cancer the summer between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of undergrad. So I spent that whole summer strapped to a chair and IV drip, getting chemotherapy, and I had a lot of time to think. And one question that kept coming back to me as I was getting treatment is, what are the odds? What are the odds? I mean, timing, of course, is one thing, and thank God it was summer and not during the academic year. It didn't prevent me from going to college. Fortunately, I'm fine. I've been in remission ever since August, right before I was scheduled to enroll. But at that age, cancer, like, what are the odds? So, and at the same time, I've always had a love for fantasy fiction, action, adventure, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Chronicles of Riddick, sci-fi, fantasy, you name it. But I'd never seen any epic explore that fundamental of a question. So, what came to mind for me, again, going through chemotherapy, strapped into an IV, is, the picture of innocence. This, imagine for a young girl, for everything is so perfect, she doesn't know any different. What would happen if everything just suddenly went terribly, dramatically wrong? They say, diamonds are made under pressure. What sort of diamond would she become? What would happen to her? What would happen to the world because of that? So that's a thumbnail, as concise of a thumbnail as I can give you, as to the inspiration.
I appreciate that. So, and you even asked the thought provoking question in the description, what if practice really did make perfect? I have a friend that always hated on that phrase because he's like, no, because if you practice doing it wrong, you're just going to get really good at doing it really wrong. But what if you could practice something and really actually be perfect at it? Is kind of the premise behind her capability. So tell us a little bit about the main character.
Yeah, so is in many ways as Lily and I are similar, I would say. Lily Lilac is the name of the protagonist. She's a 9-year-old, precocious, very talented young girl. As many similarities as we do have, we differ in one key way, and that's that I am not athletic. I'm not I ran cross country in high school, played soccer, but I am not, an acrobat or anything like that. And Lily's talent is she actually doesn't really have to practice at all. And the reason the book is called the first edition, The Impossible Sight of Lily Lilac, is because her vision is really her superpower. If she can observe any sort of acrobatic performance or physical act, feat, she can repeat it without any practice whatsoever. And so that's a big difference between that common refrain of they say practice makes perfect, which obviously that in and of itself is debatable. Lily's gift and her talent in this world that she lives in is just the opposite. She doesn't need to practice at all as long as she has the opportunity to watch and see. So her eyes are her gift. And I wish I could say the same for me.
It's an interesting concept. I was thinking as you're saying it, what she really needs to see is a ninja.
I mean, never say never. All I'm going to say is stay tuned. There's a lot that she's going to see. There's a lot she's going to see.
So tell us a little bit about the world that Lily lives in and what she's going through as we start into the book, because we don't want to give them too much because they got to read the book. But as they start into the book, what is the world like for Lily?
Yeah, so Lily is born and raised on her family property, which is a number of acres that is in a very bucolic setting that they just refer to as the valley. It's the type of thing that is a prairie inset behind some mountains. Like I said, very very private. Lily doesn't really know what's out there in the world. All she knows is that this is her home. This is where she belongs, and she has one main job. In fact, it's a promise that she made her father, which is to protect her mother. That's all she knows. That's all she's ever had to know. Everything's been taken care of for her. Everything's been provided, and she's been plenty content. One thing leads to another, and here again is the challenge. I don't want to spoil it, but things go way south all at once for Lily and her whole family, and she is left with no choice but to flee. She has to leave her home, and she's never been anywhere else in all of her 9 years. So where that's going to take her, she has no idea. But in a way, thank goodness she has her powers to carry her. Because in a way that's the only thing that comes with her when she finally does leave her home. And what she does with it, I mean, that I think is the key question. That's what we all want to see, is what is she going to do with this gift that she can watch someone do something and simply repeat it.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of really interesting characters in this story. I'm going to ask you a totally unfair question, but kind of like, which of your kids is your favorite? No, I won't ask you that one. That would be mean. But give us an example of one of the people she's going to run into that's kind of your favorite ancillary character in the book.
Well, so again, it's difficult to do without spoiling. I actually would rather answer what you described as an unfair question, which is who is your favorite? Because of course I would say Lily. Lily's my favorite. I mean, it's called The Impossible Sight of Lily Lilac, not of anybody else in the story. And I'm fortunate I have a whole team behind me here at the studio who I have a lot of creative forces supporting me. And we all come at developing stories from different angles. Some people are more interested in world building. Some people are more interested in mechanics and rules. I'm a character person. I love characters. I see them clear as day. They are vivid in my head. So Lily would be my favorite, hands down. As to who she meets, well, I mean, she doesn't meet a ninja. I can tell you that much. But she is gonna meet a cast of characters who will they think give her a run for her money, and we'll see what happens, whether their bets are right about that. But I suppose I could say that the setting that awaits her just on the other side of the valley is that's what I'm really most excited for, because that's where that cast of characters lies.
That's fun. I like to tease about it too. That's good. So Simpatico Studios, did I say it right?
You did.
Okay, I was hoping so. um, Tell us a little bit about what your company does and that.
Yeah, so Simpatico Studios, it's a small family-run business. It was founded in 2011, in fact, by me and my partner in all things, Jill. And the primary profit center is marketing consulting. So, we do everything soup to nuts when it comes to the marketing needs, mostly of companies with very, niche target markets. What the general public might think of as a very boring value proposition, engineering solutions, et cetera, et cetera. Um, However, we have a lot of fun doing that. We have so much fun peeling back the onion and getting into finding those really niche target audiences and taking what most people would think of as a complex value proposition and making it compelling. So that's what storytelling is meant for Simpatico since 2011. But there's a reason that we're studios plural, and that reason is we've always had this ambition to put out our own content and diversify our revenue streams. So today, September 23rd, 2021 is the realization of that goal. And I just checked, my KDP account before the interview began, and as of today, 10 years after opening shop, we've met that goal. Not by much, but not yet, but we have diversified revenue. So I'm really pleased about that. So studios plural will always have the marketing consulting business, and that's really my wife Jill. That's her bread and butter. um, she has a master's degree in integrated marketing communications from West Virginia University. I have an MFA in creative writing, so put two and two together.
That's awesome. So, if a person is in one of those boring industries, as you put it,
Mhm.
and they'd like to work with you, what kind of work do you do for people? Give them a general idea of what they might be able to do with you.
Well, to be clear, I don't think they're boring. I think that the general public, mass markets might think of them as boring because they're not. There's no sizzle to them. It's not. We're not working with music labels. We're not working with consumer products like Coke. We're working with companies that it's one business selling to another, and they make some sort of specialty widget that helps produce something else. Blah 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 blah. They're like way up the supply chain. So I guess in a way that also begins to answer the question. If you have a very niche market, if you're more sales driven, you don't do traditional advertising, perhaps you built your B2B company on word of mouth, and you're thinking of hiring a sales force, and need some good sales support, being collateral, etc. That's how Studio A, as we call it in Simpatico Studios, would be of assistance, helping figure out that messaging, helping figure out what our go-to-market strategy is going to be, and making sure that sales team is supported, and then some supplemental digital marketing, and anything we need to do to help close the deal. PowerPoint presentations, pitch decks, business cards, you name it.
Awesome. And how can they get a hold of you for those kind of services?
So simpaticostudios.com, which is SIM. Some people want to do SYM. SIMPATICO studios plural.com is our central hub for marketing services. And then, of course, if you want to get in touch with me related to, the Runaway Silver or any content, swquinn.com would be the way to reach me.
And again, the book is called Runaway Silver, The Impossible Sight of Lily Lilac. I want to drop a link for people who didn't see it in the description into the comments so that they can get the book. Today, they can get it for free. Give us one more little tease about the book, something that you can tell us without spoiling it too much.
Well, so it's a series, and the series is called Runaway Silver. And so coming up next year, we're really looking forward to the second and third book coming out, completing the first trilogy. There will be multiple trilogies we expect coming on top of this, and also coming up in the holiday season, Black Friday, we're going to be dropping a collector's edition that's going to be signed, hardcover, and include a unique trading card that's going to lead to a tabletop game that's going to be debuting. So there's a whole lot of stuff shaking, and stay tuned.
I love it. Well, it's such a fun book, and it's been so much fun working with you. Thanks for bringing me in as part of the team and helping with it. I do hope people will get the book today when they can get it for free on the ebook. Give us some parting words that Silver might give to, or that Lily rather might give to us if she was here to talk to us today.
It's funny. Almost spoiled something. Lily's story is so much of Lily's story is just the all American, all American story. She is the type of person who just shows so much resilience, more resilience than I think any of us realizes that we have within ourselves. So, if you're still showing up, every single day despite all of the odds, however they might appear to you, then you're just walking Lily's journey. So I think you deserve a bow, to take a bow if you're still showing up every single day and staying strong. That's all Lily's doing.
That's awesome. Again, the book is called Runaway Silver, The Impossible Sight of Lily Lilac by S.W. Quinn. Get it today for free on Amazon. Thanks so much for spending some time with us here today.
Of course, and thanks, Steve, for all of your help and everything you've done for us. We appreciate it.